What's up everybody, this is Justin here, and I'm going to be reviewing Shounan Junai Gumi. Based on the manga by Fujisawa Toru, Shounan Junai Gumi, also known as GTO The Early Years in America, tells the high school days of Onizuka Eikichi himself and his best friend Dama Ryuji when they were the infamous and almost invincible duo known as the Onibaku. Initially, the Onibaku leave their previous school to transfer to a new one in hopes of starting fresh and abandoning their delinquent ways in the ultimate hope of teenage conquest to get laid. To help in their attempt at reformation, they get part-time jobs at the beach during their summer vacation, and there they meet two nice young ladies. Unfortunately, circumstances make them revert back to their brawling habits, and to make things worse, these two young ladies happen to be teachers at their new school. So, after these initial events in the first episode, the Onibaku figure, fuck it, stay as delinquents but still try to get laid and make it through high school. In addition, the series also introduces Saejima Toshiyuki, who would later become a corrupt beat cop in GTO, as well as a small number of characters who will be introduced in GTO later on. As for the story itself, this came out during a period when stories of delinquency such as Bebop High School and Slam Dunk were also big. Like these respective titles, Shounan Junai Gumi has comedy, action, and shares some life lessons as well. Like in GTO, a teenage Onizuka also demonstrates that he can be a psycho, but still has principles. Ryuji is also the more serious of the two as usual. Saejima is still a messed up psychopath, but more of a violent one as opposed to a perverted one, as later on in GTO. Most of the focus is the bond and friendship between Onizuka and Ryuji. Their friendship will be tested here and there, but they're always there for each other. The show also demonstrates how they compare and contrast, and despite that, Onizuka and Ryuji respect each other's differences. The cast slowly expands beyond Saejima, and you also learn about how some other friends and other incidents that were also revisited in the Shounan Junai Gumi prequel, Bad Company. The episodes are mostly episodic, but all bring something different. You also get to see Onizuka's mother, and you learn about his past. Unfortunately, this series ended sometime the manga was ending, so the anime doesn't feel incomplete like the GTO anime, so reading the manga will give you more of a full circle story. Maybe it will show him and Ryuji how they ended up in Tokyo by the beginning of GTO, which takes place 6 years after Shounan Junai Gumi, but I'd like to make the disclaimer that I haven't really read much of the Shounan Junai Gumi manga. But I've read the GTO one. But I've also read 14 Days in Shonan, but have yet to read Paradise Lost. Alright, but it is nice to see how Onizuka is like in his teenage years. In some ways, he has grown up and has gotten wiser by the events of GTO, but many of his silly qualities are still there. As well as Ryuji being the more serious one as well. And I felt Saejima, since Shounan Junai Gumi shows a different side of crazy. In the end, they still don't get laid, and you know in GTO, but the cast just expands, and all characters do serve a distinct function. It is mostly story-driven, but some of the stories here and there are formulaic and repetitive, but still diverse, and offer something different. And for that, I give it a 6.75 out of 10 for story and characters. The character design is pretty much faithful to the manga, and the hairstyle Onizuka has is what he had in the beginning of the GTO manga anyway. If your familiarity with GTO is just the anime, then I guess his hairstyle is a fresh change, though, I believe, in flashbacks and old pictures in the show. It does demonstrate his old hairstyle anyway. The character design is diverse. Fujisawa knows how to draw beauty and ugliness, and Onizuka's strange faces are in this anime, but only a small number of times in comparison to the GTO anime and manga. The motorcycle scenes work, and the action is both violent and comedic. Even though Onizuka is supposed to have a karate background, he's very wild with his fighting, but his karate background is not mentioned in this anime. Maybe it was in the manga, but I haven't read it in a long time. Like I said, I haven't read it. But Onizuka in this anime is a teenager, and he is more human in terms of tolerance to pain to how he is in the GTO series. But in the GTO manga, they at least gave him some limit to his pain tolerance in comparison to the anime version. And of course, the live actions knew how to do that as well realistically. The series mostly deals with some real-life-esque issues, so CG or whatever isn't expected or necessary. As pure animation goes, it works. Granted, the age makes it feel more rough compared to today's anime, which is a little bit grainy and the color's a little rough, but it is about juvenile delinquency, and I think it reflects that particular aspect a whole lot more. And for that, I give the animation and art an 8.5 out of 10. A soundtrack is virtually non-existent in this series. No opening or ending theme songs, nothing as energetic as Driver's High or Hitori no Yoru, which made up a great fraction of the reasons why I love the GTO animated series. There's, of course, Poison from the first live-action series is the best GTO song ever. But anyway, there is background music, but it is rather generic to the series and mood. But I always love anime because sometimes they get awesome bands like Lark and CL to do opening songs. As for the voice acting, unfortunately, Takagi Wataru does not voice Onizuka in this prequel. I really loved his performance in the GTO series, and I felt he perfectly nailed the character. But this time, previously, Onizuka was played by Futamata Issei, the voice of Godai Yusuke in Meizani Koku. And you also have he was also Uraba Kosetsu in Code Geass. And he was also Higuchi Kyosuke in Death Note, and he was also Uraoshima in Yu Yu Hakusho. He shows he can play lecherous characters and has a comedic role. He does the tough guy act in his own way as well, but I can see how his performance did have an influence on Takagi Wataru's approach. He enunciates his words and his tone and pace are still consistent. Ryuji is played by Hori Hideyuki, to me, the voice of Ikki in Saint Seiya, my favorite character in that series. He is a good contrast to Onizuka, who has more of a softer voice and is more calm. But other famous Cs will later take roles in this anime, such as Hayashibara Megumi as the voice of Nagisa, Ryuji's girlfriend, and still girlfriend in GTO. And she is also famous as the voice of Rei in Evangelion, and also the female Ranma, and Lena in Verse and Slayers. That's just the tip of the iceberg. But anyway, the voice cast is pretty good, but the non-existent music is not that much of a hindrance to the show. So I give it an 8 out of 10. Mostly because of the voice acting, you got big names like Hayashibara Megumi. But anyway, to me, Shounan Junai Gumi is something that could have been better, like a good percentage of many anime out there, if it followed the manga to a T. Then again, I'm telling you something that you already know. But Fujisawa makes excellent manga, but unfortunately, the anime in comparison are rather incomplete, but not necessarily empty. Voice acting and music does bring a distinct life to the series. And the voice actors bring more punch to the comedy, and the drama and the cast alone makes it worth watching. And just seeing a young Onizuka, even at a limited capacity, does have its charms. I say this series is more for hardcore fans of the GTO franchise, and I give this series an overall 7.5 out of 10. And in the near future, maybe sometime before the end of this year or sometime beginning of the next, I will review the GTO anime, the 1998 drama, the 2012 drama, and the Taiwan special, and the current series, which I've yet to watch, but I'll wait for the DVDs. But in the meantime, my next reviews next week will be Garo Makai Senki, and then there will be Garo Sokoku no Mariu, Togen no Fue, Zero Blackblood, Garo Yamio Terasumono, and Makai no Hana. Now the next 6 or 7 weeks or so will be Garo, but if the Code Geass movie comes out within the next few weeks, maybe before October or November, I'll be sure to catch that in theaters, and we'll be watching that. And also this October, look forward to my new J-Vlog series. It's kind of a mini-series, it won't go on forever, but yes, it will be a new series about what it's like to work in Japan, and these are circumstances in which I can film what I do at work. So please look forward to that, and thank you for watching, and look forward to my next reviews and my next series.